It hasn't started yet? It says I'm live. Oh no, I didn't push start. I checked it again and I didn't get anything. Oh, I just got it now. Oh, boo. Yeah. Oh, man. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Script Unscripted. Even though I'm absurdly late, I am really apologizing for this. The reason I'm so late is I thought I was streaming. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with YouTube live streaming. That's what I'm used to Twitch streaming. And you can preview your stream, get it going, and then you start. You have to push an actual start button. So, welcome to Script Unscripted. Let's just move this back up. Sorry about that. Let's go Script Unscripted 0-3. And today we're going to be doing some responsive web design. We're getting Responsive-ble, as I kind of put it, with Jquery Mobile, which is cool. Mobile. So that's all this goes. We're gonna CLS that. Okay. So just to do a quick recap, I'm gonna go back and keep talking or recap everything I just did because I talked to myself on the preview. So again, I hope I didn't lose anybody, and if I did, I'm sorry, but I will go about 15 minutes over time to make up for that 15. If you have to leave early, I will be posting it on afterwards. So I really am sorry about that. Now, anyway, going towards this recap from just a recap. This is a show that I call Script Unscripted. It's an experiment by me, David West, your host. Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Or if you're watching this video afterwards, thanks for watching. And what we do here is I actually just tinker around with technology and play with code, generally HTML5, JavaScript, CSS, and I'm just live streaming those experiments. It's kind of a condensed version because generally that's a kind of a hobby of mine, but I've also been doing software development off and on for about almost a decade now, and this is my kind of experiment in sharing that with everybody. So see what I can do with it. To keep going forward with it, episode 1, we started to go with a product called Apache Cordova. It's actually a project, not a product. It's an open source platform. It's built on Node.js. It is the successor to PhoneGap, and it allows you to take HTML applications and compile them down and make them work on multiple applications or multiple devices. So iOS, Android, browser, Windows Phone, Windows itself, different things like that. Now, what we found was that it was really easy to get set up, and you can actually run it all from the command line. It's platform agnostic. That's kind of my thing. I like keeping things I like to have them as cross-platform as possible. So we want to stick with the command line as much as possible. And this worked really well. So we were able to really get it going really quickly, installed it with Node.js, and boom, we were ready to go. And we were just kind of going through documentation and taking some of the considerations into some of the different considerations for Cordova, more specifically around performance. Now, one of those big things is that we need to, generally they recommend you do a single page application. It reduces load times. It's way more efficient. So you have to think of that from your client or what application you're trying to build, if it needs to be a single page application or if it can be. If you're doing a really massive app, of course, anything can be a single page app, but you need to really kind of consider that kind of stuff when you're designing your application, how it's going to navigate and all that stuff. So episode 2 came along and I kind of introduced the idea of Jquery Mobile, and how it has a single-page application framework along with a responsive web, a set of responsive web controls. So that's what we ended up using. We started tinkering with that. Didn't get very far with it because it had a lot of little nuances to it that I wasn't familiar with. I'm not very familiar with this. And part of the experiment is that I experiment with code in front of you live. So I do a bit of prep, do a bit more planning, and then kind of go with it. Now, anyway, so that leads us to the end of the recap and going to what's going on last week. So a couple things that we left off with. We talked about this Windows bug because I couldn't get the Windows application to run, and it was weird. I was weirding out by that. It kept on crashing and stuff. So the question was like, how? Let's go here. Let's go there. How do we debug Cordova from with the command line? And there was no good answer at that point. I did some research trying to figure that out. So I did figure out what the bug was. It ended up being a JavaScript error. I was running some JavaScript that actually wasn't valid, and it was just throwing up because we were cleaning out some of the old templated code and stuff like that. So that got me thinking, like, how do you generally debug this? Because normally I have an IDE that has, and this isn't, I want to clarify something because it's the thing I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to replace IDEs. I think IDEs are awesome. I just like doing the whole text thing and the terminal thing because it's an experiment to see what I can actually do and what I can actually accomplish. And so without an IDE, how do I do this debugging? And I didn't have a good story. And actually, I did find out what was wrong with it. I found out that it was improper JavaScript. But the reason I figured that out was I went to the event viewer and just saw that the app itself was crashing, and then saw that it was a script error. So then I started going through my JavaScript and looking through it myself. Now, that's not a very good story. I got this really generic error from the Windows event viewer, and it's a very Windows 8 specific problem. So, you know, that's not too hot in terms of a solution. So hopefully I can come up with a better solution for the next time. I don't really have one right now, and today we're going to focus in on a lot more HTML. But that being said, one of the big recommendations they said in terms of debugging is always debug the browser application first. Do your script debugging just like you would do with Chrome or with Firefox, or with Chrome, Safari, or Internet Explorer, depending on the platform you're trying to support. So for Chrome, you know, if you're doing it on Apple, you should do it in Safari because, you know, I'm assuming Cordova is actually using WebKit and WebKit's JavaScript interpreter and its renderer and stuff like that underneath the covers to make this stuff happen. With an Android phone, it's probably using Chrome or Android Player or whatever, but probably something around Chrome, so it's probably very similar. Internet Explorer for the Windows devices. Makes sense. So you can kind of debug from there and then try deploying. And if you're getting errors in Internet Explorer, then probably you're getting them in Windows as well. It's just that you can't debug. Now that's not to say that the applications that get produced, if I bring up if I bring you actually the applications that get produced, if I bring that up here, you can see I have platform. This is what actually gets compiled. Let me just, do I have this open? No, I don't have Zoom it open. Why would I? You can see it over here on the right. You can say I have www, but I have browser. This is the browser, and I also have Windows. So this actually produces. This actually produces a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm actually going to open Zoom, but I'm going to cheat. 1 second, everybody. That way I can make sure you guys actually see. Zoom it. There we go. Red team, go. Boom. Okay. So you can see here on the right, on the left-hand side, you can see I have all these different things. This is actually a Visual Studio solution. You can see the Cordova app. Let's see if I can draw on this. Is it going to let me? Yeah, well, the Cordova app.js proj, the Cordova app Windows 8 JS proj, that's all Visual Studio stuff. Those are JavaScript projects from Visual Studio, and there's actually the solution file, Cordova app.vs2012.solution. So you can actually open this up in Visual Studio and then debug it directly from there. So there is a solution. I know that they have the instructions on how to do that on the Cordova website, and I am putting my hand in front of the camera. Sorry about that. So what you can actually open these up in the individual IDEs and actually use them. So not a bad solution, not the best one because it doesn't make us platform agnostic, but it's not too bad. So I get out of that. But yeah. So today we're actually going to be focusing a lot on the UI aspect of things. So specifically the jQuery side of it, and we're going to build up what we've already done here. But there's a couple of little improvements I've made off camera, so hopefully you're not all too offended. Let's just see here. There you go. By the way, if you have any comments or anything like that, please don't hesitate to ask them. There's a little chat window over in the corner here that I can't quite seem to get on my live screen here. Let me just open this up over there. View on the watch page. So I'm gonna pause that preview. I'm gonna open up that over there, and I will pause the video as well, or I'll play the video so I can see what you guys are seeing. But anyway, if you have something you want to ask, you can ask me over here on the right hand side. Say, hello Dave, and you can just write it in there, and I'm saying hi to myself. But you know, always feel free to make a comment or say hi or anything like that, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask me there. You can also tweet me, although I had my phone on silent, which was a silly thing to do because I was getting a whole bunch of notifications saying, hey, you know what, your streaming is not streaming, which was not very clever. So in any case, looking at this, we have what we're going to be doing is we're going to be editing our HTML and starting to build that responsive UI using jQuery Mobile. Now, I said there's a couple of small things that we've changed off stream, and the first thing is we've actually, well, first of all, I've actually stopped using brackets for the most part. I wanted to try a little bit more of an experiment, and what we've been doing is we've been using Vim. Brackets is a platform agnostic thing, but I just wanted to try something a little bit different, so that's what I did, and we're going to be using that today. So you can see all this. This is good. It's I can actually reduce the size of it a little bit here. There we go. That's a little bit better. So I'm gonna try using this. This is an experimental thing by me anyway. So yeah, this is what we're gonna try using. And as you can see here, we have what we left off with, and we are gonna try just to tinker around with some of this stuff and play around and see what we can do. Now, with that in mind, I've done a little bit more planning because I wasn't actually that satisfied with the last stream, and I wanted to go off and make sure that I was a little bit more prepared. And so what I did was I created a repository, and I started committing to a repository, and you can follow along. Go to github.com/davidwest/vgdb. That is the application that I am tinkering with. So I'm working on the master branch right now. The master branch is always going to be the latest for the stream. There's only 2 more episodes, including this one, so there's only 1 more after this. It's not going to go much further, but I am going to keep building that application. This is going to be my, I guess the word would be my presentation application, because it's going to have some actual functionality to it, and we can always constantly improve it. It's an HTML5 JavaScript application. It's cross-compatible with so many different things. It's going to be a Cordova app. It's going to be all kinds of stuff. And I take this information that I use and I actually use it in another project that I'm working on that I'm hoping goes live in early February. And I'll share that with you after the stream is all said and done to see where I'm at. And I'll start sharing that with people soon. But that being said, we're going to start working on that. So let's start doing some work. So let's, first of all, I'm going to get rid of this link. If you need it again, let me know. But with that, what we need to do is let's actually start with running what we've got. So we do Cordova Run Browser, and we'll see what happens here while this is starting up. This is a bug that I actually looked up as well. I'll explain that in a second. Now, what I'm going to do while that loads, I'm going to send out a quick tweet just to let people know that I've started. There we go. Let's just say live tweeting on live streaming. Look at this. So sorry for the delay. We are live on YouTube. On YouTube. Exclamation point. HTTP. I guess HTTP. Whatever. //YouTube.com/ I guess David West would be my username. I'm not going to actually send. Not actually going to send that. I'm so sorry, people. Like, I'm generally way, way more responsive than this. I can't believe I streamed for 15 minutes without anyone watching. It's embarrassing. Okay, anyway, this is what we got. So we have a simple navigation setup. We have a footer, we've got a header, we've got a view game list, we've got a back to the list. Not a big deal. If I maximize it, we also set up media queries so we can actually, we have a responsive view, so we can actually write CSS rules based on the size of the device. That means we have the whole goal here is to have one UI for multiple platforms. So our code, one set of code, one UI, multiple platforms, just for the sake of it. And that being said, we need to improve this because we need some actual content. We want to put some functionality in this, and we want to make it responsive still. So that's what we're going to do. And to do that, I'm just going to open up. I have my notes here that I'm going to follow up with. There we go. Drag this. I just want to. Where are my notes? Come on, notes. Be notes. There we go. Okay, so the way that I kind of want to roll with this, we're going to close that down. The way I want to roll with this is we're going to actually start building the individual pages. So if I actually bring up, we'll go back to our page here. So let's start with the first page, the game list page. So let's go down here. Oop, I'm actually already in insert, so we're going to do that. Oh my goodness. I got to learn how to use this keyboard too. I got a new keyboard not long ago. So first of all, and for those of you, oh my goodness, what is going on? There we go. For those of you that are VI or Vim aficionados, you are going to be shocked and appalled by how horrible I am at this. There we go. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get rid of some of these tabs. I know there's a better way of doing this. I know. You don't have to tell me. But this is the only way I know right now. I know there's the other way I know how to do it is actually with the Y key and stuff like that. So if I did, let's just try an experiment. V. I highlight all of this. And then I think it's what nope, I don't know how to do that. So if I did, so it's 35 to 45, so if we do, yeah, I don't know how to do this. So we're just gonna do it the slow way. Just, I'd rather not delete all my code. We don't actually need to do it right now. I'll do it later. So let's see what we got here. So what we want to do is we want to have, what I would like to have, well, first of all, let's start with this. Yeah, here's something cool I can do. Is there something cool I can do? Destroy it. I want to make this an actual header element. Let's use some HTML isms here and use this stuff. Articles are the new divs is kind of how I use it. I don't know if that's what the cool kids do, but that's what I read a while ago, and I always thought it was a good idea. I don't know. That's just what I'm doing. So we have our game list page. Let's just call this games, make it a little bit cleaner. Okay, and we have our link that we're going to keep. So what I want to do, and this is the other part here, we had to put this class UI content. This comes up in a little bit again, if I remember right, because again, I tinkered with all this before, and I have a little bit of code written down in my notes just in case, because I didn't want to completely botch it. So let's go with this. We're gonna get rid of that one there, and we're gonna do C insert, and we're gonna go back up. Okay. So we got our header, and we've changed it to a header. Let's see here. What we want to do is I want a form. So we're going to go with the game list here. So I'm just scrolling my notes down. I have a couple of little notes. So what I want to do is I want to put an input, basically. So I don't have to do it in the form, so I'll just do it there. So form, we'll close that off, and then we're going to do input type is equal to text, and that's what we're going to have it for now. Let's call it ID. We're going to call this filter, or filter text. Or let's do text box, filter. I'll close that off, and then form. And then what I want to do here is I'd like to do sort of like a list, essentially, just like kind of like a UL. But I want to. I'm gonna spoil it. I'm actually use a table, which I know people don't like, but that's okay. You don't have to like it. And this is going to be where our our games right here. That's just going to be the games table. So let's do TBL games like that. That's, I don't know. That's kind of what I like to do, and we'll just do that kind of normal stuff. T-head. What I'm gonna do is I don't want to miss comments just in case. Like I said, I'm slowly getting better at understanding how this all works, but I'm definitely not there yet. One day soon, don't you worry. Let's make that bigger. And we are going to scroll this over to there. Perfect. Now I can see. Okay, cool. So I got my T head. And we're going to do a TH. Yeah, I always forget the THs. And we do, okay, TR. So what do we want on our thing here? We want a TR, and it's going to be the title of the game. And then I also want, let's just say, I'd go with the years, just some other data. And I want to be able to open it. So I know there's a smarter way of doing this, but because we're going to make a compromise today, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a action column in here, and this is going to be where we put our kind of actions. I have some ideas about what I want to do with this app, and in all fairness, it does actually would involve an action column, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But for now, so normally what we would do is we'd also have a JavaScript row. You'd want to click on the JavaScript row, and it'd be like, hooray, you got a row, and you can click on it, it gets highlighted, and you write some JavaScript for that. I'm not doing that right now because I'm not going to tinker with JavaScript. That's going to be the last episode. We're going to wire this up to a live data source, and we're also going to wire up a couple UI features, and that's going to be one of them. So the next one is we need a T-body. So again, we're just using good old, this is really probably not that exciting to most people. Oh, if I can type. Todobi. I want to write Toby, apparently. Alright, there we go. And then we do, I always forget this. Yeah, it's just a TR, eh? I know I'm doing something wrong there, but that's TD. That's what it is. Looking at my notes, I'm like, I have THs everywhere. So anyway, we want these to follow. So I'm just going to put some dummy data in. So we're going to do excite bike. Like so. Lock a show. The year, I believe, is 1980. Not comma. 1980. Let's go with 5. I feel that 1985 is a good year. And in here, we are going to actually put our link afterwards. We're just going to go to the view game page. We would specify, you know what we'll do? We'll try an experiment. So we got to try something new every time. So we'll do show. Oh, that's what we'll do. We'll just do, so let's, yeah. Okay, so we're going to do, sorry. So we're going to do TD. We're just going to close this off. I'm going to get out of the insert mode, and we're going to copy this line. Did I do it? Okay, and then we do, no, right there, paste. Okay, well, I'm sure there is a better way to do that, but again, I'm still learning the magic that is Vim. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to change the link to be show, and then here we're actually going to pass it a query string. So it's going to be ID is equal to excite bike. Let's just assume the query string is, or the ID is the title with all lowercase where spaces are actually hyphens. So we'll do another game or two here. So let's just do this, and we do TR, and then it does that for me. Cool. Now I'm gonna go up here, and I'm gonna do the next. I want to copy this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So we want to do, let's see, 4 YY, 4 lines yanked. If you see that at the bottom, okay. Let's do this. Ready? See if it works. Well, close. Let's just try that again. Let's undo. We're gonna go up 1, and then we're gonna try it again. Boom. Sweet. Okay. And I want to do C. No, not V. What? I don't know. CW. Okay, good work there, bud. CW. I want to insert a word, man. What am I doing? I'm clicking. There we go. So we'll do there we go. Legend of Zelda. This is 1986, if I'm not gonna make myself a horrible human being. Change the ID. You know, and realistically, the reason I want to do the ID as just a formatted string is we can use that. Like, we can probably write a JavaScript function that just formats that for us. I'll see. I have to learn about how we can inject it into ideally a template, but we'll see. So let's do legend of Zelda pardon me. Okay. Oh, look, and I didn't actually needed 5 lines anyway. And let's do TR like so. Let's try that again. So we're gonna put another couple games in there just for fun. I'm gonna put in 5. Let's do 5YY. There we go. Paste. There we are. And then in CW. And we're just going to keep on deleting that. Okay, just one more game. Let's just do Tetris. I also love Tetris. Let's do 1985 because that was an American thing. Oh, cool. Thank you. I hope I pronounced your name. I always pronounce it Cecil. I hope that's okay. Cecil Phillip on Twitter for giving me a shout out here during the event. I appreciate that. Anyway, much appreciated. So let's see, game ID. So I got Tetris, and then we're gonna change that ID. Now again, remember that we are. Let's that CW delete. Just remember what we're gonna. This is hard coding some data in just for now, just for the sake of hard coding data in here. So we are gonna do. We're gonna insert title or Tetris like so. Let's save that. Let's go and we're gonna run it. So Cordova Run Browser. Now remember, the reason we're running it in the browser. Haha, there we go. Sweet. I got some chat going. So that's awesome. Did I pronounce your name right, by the way? I'm curious because it's otherwise I pronounce it Cecil, but I've been told it's incorrect. So option A, Cecil. Option B, Cecil. You tell me, and I'll make sure I get it right for the rest of eternity. Now you can see here we got our nice text box that's formatted by Jquery Mobile. I also got these that do absolutely nothing. And yeah, that's pretty fantastic. So let's think about this. Now what I need to do is make this, there's a Jquery Mobile table, and that we want to make sure that it actually gets all compiled. That's the power of Jquery. It's a UI framework that's going to give us a lot. So let's actually take a look at, if you go to the Jquery Mobile site, what I'll do, I'm not going to go to it. Oh. My stream is bad, it says. That's not good. I hope it's not bad. Anyway, pause it. I'm just going to keep going. So that being said, option A. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Cecil. Or Cecil. Oh my god. Option A was Cecil. Epic fail. I didn't get it right forever. In any case, Jquery Mobile has a lot of power behind its UI framework. That's what we want to do. We want to leverage it. Now, if you go to jquerymobile.com, or more specifically, if I go to, let's just close this out. We do, I think it's Jquery Mobile, or demos, or demo.jquerymobile.com. You can actually see the latest version of that. So it's a whole lot of web UI. There's a whole lot of responsive UIs there. So let me just bring it up just for a second. Ain't gonna kill us. There we go. We'll do the littlest thing here. So Jquery Mobile, and we're gonna go to demo. That didn't work, did it? Maximize. Demo. Or demos. Sorry, it's demos. If I zoom in on that. There you go. You head over to demos.jquerymobile.com. It'll actually bring you over to here, and this is what you're going to want to look at. What we have are a series of widgets that are really powerful. The one I want to look at, and I mean this is where I cheated, was the table, and more specifically, you can actually go. There's a whole responsive UI section. Let me just see. Oh, responsive web design. There it is. If I bring that up for a sec. And I won't make you all motion sick by just constantly zooming forward. But let's look down here. Responsive web design. There we go. So it's loading. And you can see here, RDBD database. This is a really good spot to start off. And it actually kind of ties you into the framework. In Jquery Mobile, gives you some ideas, putting it together. And then there's a whole lot of different cool things that you can actually leverage. So let me just close that out there. Okay, awesome to the max. So in tables, they do have a responsive table. Now all you really have to do is, well, actually let's get to that. So let's go back to our code. as fun as this is, I'll just reference my notes to make it nice and easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, table. So you notice that I also put the text, the input in a form. So that's actually one of the requirements when you look at their web UI and you actually look at their inputs with respect to filtering. So if I go up here, there's actually a little bit more that I have to add. Let's just go right to the end. We're going to input some stuff. More specifically, we're going to use a data attribute, which is getting into the HTML5 fun, and it's going to be a search, like so. It's also going to give us actually a little icon in front of it that's going to be nice little add-on. So let's close that out. Let's go scroll down. And this is where we want our table. So let's go to our lovely, if I can remember how to do this. There we go. Input, so we have an ID table games. We want to add a couple of attributes to this. So more specifically, we want this to be class UI responsive. So this is going to give us a default set of media queries that Jquery Mobile provides. This is not the ideal solution, but it is going to get the ball rolling, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on, is just getting things moving along. And with that, we want to actually add we will data role. Let's do that. So they have a whole bunch of data roles. That's a table. That's what they actually ask us to write, so that we can identify it as a table. And then again, there's data filter. And that's if you look up their filtering commands or their filtering documentation, they want you to specify that. And for us, we want to put a selector in there. So we do hashtag TBX filter, and that is how that should work. If I look at my code, oh, and there we go. Sorry, my mistake. I got my attributes wrong. This one, sorry, is data input. And then we need to do data filter is equal to true, saying, hey, yo, we actually want to filter some stuff. So true, filter it, just like that, bam. So, okay, saved it. Going back to the terminal, gonna get rid of this. We're gonna do Cordova Run Browser yet again. Okay, well, it still looks like crap. That was not my intent. So let's see if it clicks on anything. Do we get any errors? Well, first let's see if it filters us. So let's get rid of this horrible background. Let's just try it out. Excite. So it is filtering. It is filtering. That's good. That probably means my HTML is garbage, and that's probably what I'm missing here. So what do I got here? ID, that. Okay, that's not bad. Oh, there we go. And I also want to set up my columns. So I have a TH. Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at sorry, I'm just reading my notes over as I go here. So if I click on this, see if it does anything. I was just curious if copy link address. We're gonna actually see what link it actually posted up here. So it did give us a query string. It's not responding well to it. So that's something I'll have to look into how we do. So let us go back to this. Okay, so what we're gonna do, first of all, we're just gonna cheat for the sake of time. I'm on input mode. That's why it's all fiddle faddle foo. Let's keep going here. Let's get rid of those two spaces. Okay. Input, jump over to this, and we want to DW that, DW that, DW that, DW that. Not all of that. Input that. Okay, game. Show. Okay, yeah. So let's just do it that way for now. We want to just get rid of that. So let's go insert. We're going to delete all of our IDs just for now. We will come back to that. Because again, I test this out to a certain degree. Oops. Let's just fix that. Undo. There we go. Input. There we go. So I do experiment some with this, and I have the source code. It's available online, but you know, I gotta try something new on live stream. Why not? That's the fun of this. Otherwise, you would go to a fancy conference and you would see prep demos, and it would be very great. And me, well, I'm the cheap version. But it is something cool to kind of see something experimented with, and then we can kind of debug and fiddle with it. Now, anyway, I know what I did wrong. I did my old stupid thing that I always do. Now, if you look at this code, if I zoom in on it, let's look at some gorilla code here, as I like to call it, because this is what a silly shaved gorilla like me would do if you were coding. Your TH is your header cell element. Your TR is your row element. Whoops. Let's try that again, shall we? So let's do an input, TR. Now there's also, I know all you Vim people that are just looking at me like, just do a search and replace, and just do the thing with the buttons that you need to use instead of these arrow things. Like, ugh, you're so slow and bad at stuff. Thank you very much. I think it is a cool idea. I have not seen enough people. So I got a comment from, I've already forgotten how I'm supposed to, so from Cecil. You can beat me up next time when we meet. At some point, you can just give me a punch right in the face, or I'll buy you a beer, or whatever. Ideally, don't punch me. But in any case, I just got to point it out here that he said this is a very cool idea. I think more devs should do this. I agree. On Twitch TV, there's actually a lot of there's a whole game developer section amongst the video games, and this is actually kind of a. I wish this was an original idea from me, but it's not. I actually saw that there's a whole video game set of streams going on. It's going on nightly, every night for about an hour, and a gentleman is programming an entire video game from using C. And he's using Emacs, and it's very basic, but he's showing you how to build an engine, a video game engine from the ground up. And it's really, really neat. It's a little bit more in depth than I'd like to say it. Yes, you said it right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cecil. Got it. But he is really into it, and the whole deal is that he has this whole challenge about, people aren't learning video game engines anymore. He wants to know how they do it, and he's been doing this for a long time, so he's doing it straight from C and doing a Windows game. And the whole plan, I read an interview from him on Gamma Sutra, and he's going to be putting it on Raspberry Pi, so they're going to be doing the whole hardware layer up, so you boot up a device, and it's actually this game. Now, the game is called Handmade Hero, and you can pre-order it for $15. I'm doing a little promotion for him. For $15, you get source code every day, and you get to see his live stream. The live stream is free anyway. You get to ask him questions during the Q&A afterwards. But then you get a copy of the game when it's finished. So he's constantly uploading your source code. It's really neat. And that's where this kind of comes in, is I don't see this for non-game developers. And so, maybe we can get a small community going. It's got to get a mic and a webcam, and you're good to go. So anyway, we got this. Let's try this now. So let's save that. Let's go back. We're going to close this because we got to rebuild it. So again, Cordova Run Browser. So as for this bug that comes up every time, it turns out in the template that it uses to generate the Windows project, that's a little bit better. See, there we go. We got a nice title. It's below my footer, which is odd, but I'll look at that in a sec. And if I go and click on this, we do excite. Cool. Let's do 1980 or 84, 85. There we go. Very cool. If I click on show, does this still work? So apparently not. That is funky. Let's take a look at this. I'm getting an error, which is Jquery Mobile min map. That's fine. I don't care about that. Let's just try doing a refresh here. So some of the debugging fun. So I am familiar. If you're a web dev, you've probably dealt with some form of dev tools. And this is that right now. This is me clicking on this and figuring out and kind of going through using the developer tools for Chrome, just kind of figuring it out. This is loading it all up. I'm not getting my source map file, which is fine. I'm not getting the Ajax loader, which is fine. So my network is loading everything up. If I go to console, Jquery min. Oh, file not found. That's the Jquery. That's just that. So why are you not working? I don't understand. Aha. What did I blow up? Let's go take a look at my code. So I have my href. I had that before. So I'm gonna take a look at my notes here to see what I've botched here. Game. The view game, there's the footer. Oh. again. We got some awesome looking lack of closing tags for the table. That's always good. So let's do a closing table. Let's close this up, see if that does a thing. You know, my experience with JavaScript and HTML, it just gets really finicky with certain things. And I'm assuming jQuery running JavaScript based on broken HTML is not really helping. So let's see what happens here. Hence why probably my footer was also underneath everything. Just want to make sure before we go away from here that, yeah, it's all in an article called main and it closes. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that I actually had this right. So W, okay, and then we're going to do this again. Yes, and then we do Cordova Run Browser. Anyway, as I was saying, that error that comes up is actually because of the template that's used for Cordova. It's actually hard-coded, there's a hard-coded file reference, and I'm hoping I can actually get that fixed myself. So there you go. Now my footer's down here. That's good. Click on show. We're going, oh yeah. Look at that. You start writing not garbage code, and things just start to work. This is awesome. Yeah, I don't know what the voices are about. I do that in Twitch stream when I Twitch stream too, so hopefully that doesn't happen too often. Anyway, so you can see we got our simple thing. Now, now let's just try expanding this. So you can see that our media query is kicking into play. This is not the most responsive thing. What we would probably want to do is have columns disappear or reappear. Now, this is what I thought was neat. So if I'm using to a phone, it automatically goes down into this format. I could style this so that every row is different, which you probably would want to do with a table. You can see how it's responsive in that way. With our media queries, they actually provide you some sample data or some sample queries and sample code you can write for CSS to make different things work better in terms of a media query. So it'll actually hide different things, maybe restructure stuff a little bit, set the column widths. And there's another thing that you can actually do, which is what we're going to do now. Am I in here? Yeah. So you can actually go to your header, which you've set. Oops. I'm just going to get rid of that line, and we're going to go back. We're going to go up, 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 down, down. Okay, let's just go back. No. Go back. What am I typing here? There we go. Insert from there. Now, you do a data priority. There's another attribute. You can actually set the priority of these individual columns. That allows you to start, you know, formatting some stuff and actually having things disappear. So I do data priority 1 there, and I do, let's see, data priority. We want this one to be 3. And then last but not least, data priority 2, and we're good. Like so. And let's try that one more time just because I am one of those. I want to make sure that I'm always running my code. Hypothetically, I should probably be running tests. I know I got a couple of people that I know here that would beat me up if I'm not doing my tests. So let's see if that actually does anything. So it doesn't actually reduce it to anything, but we could actually hypothetically hide stuff and expose stuff based on how much screen real estate we have with our media queries. So that's the whole point of that. Clearly I don't have anything really wired up for this right now, but you know what? It's something we can experiment with over time, but it's something you can take a look at as well if you're looking to do some responsive design. It has a lot of cool features in jQuery Mobile, and I'm really impressed with it for its lightweight aspects. It's just very simple, and it gets you rolling quickly, and I'm a fan of getting rolling quickly. You can always update and change stuff later. Anyway, now the next problem is this page. We want something to appear here. What I want is I would like actually an image of the game to show up. So I'm going to stop putting my hand in front of the camera. But I want an image of the game to show up. I'd like the title to display. And I would like it to be just, again, a responsive grid, ideally. And they do have that. Again, you're better off defining your own media queries. But we're just going to do something quick here. And we're going to get that rolling. So let's go down. Okay, where's my game list? Here we go. So let's actually fix my grossness here. That is my 8 space tabs. It's not gross. If you're an 8 space tab person, I salute you. I don't know. I have this thing about you have to compress your white space. I like big fonts, less white space. That is just my thing. Save that. Okay. So we want to delete let's delete some lines of code here. Let's first of all, let's just do. Oh wow, no, let's not do that. Let's wow. Okay, let's just do it manually because that was scary. Okay, let's also delete this word. Fine, I'll just do it slow. We'll make this a header. What is going on? Header data. There we go. I actually want this to be an article. And this one, I want to be the footer. Just make it consistent. That's one thing I was noticing. I don't have a good way of doing templating it because I'd like to just kind of inject this stuff. Now, I know there's clearly a set of frameworks. JQuery has its own templating library, the Jquery Temple, or whatever they call it. I have used Ember once or twice. I know there are options. Handlebars is another one that I like handlebars for sure. It's just a matter of wiring that all up, and I'm going to save that for a different stream or a different time. Okay. So I'm not going to go through the details of the grid. There's a lot of documentation around it, but they do have a responsive UI grid. Now, what we do is we have to add our lovely... so here we have our lovely UI content. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to put a div. Let's do it that way. And we're doing a class. Yeah, there we go. Class is equal to UI responsive, like so. And more importantly, you identify doing UI grid, like that. Okay. So we're going to close this just for fun. And now you need to start identifying your grid elements. Now, the way they do this is they actually have you define them in blocks. So and they have a bunch of default templated ones. So if you want 2-column grids, you do it. It's an A-B layout. So each one's 50%. If you wanted 3 columns that are evenly divided, you'd have a C layout. So A, B, and C. So you do something like we'll do div and then class, and then we do UI. I think it's block. If I review my notes, sorry, block A, like that. Okay. And then we close div out, and we'll put some content in there after. So class is equal to UI block B. Am I right? Well, I'm right. And we close that out. Okay, cool. So let's put some content here. Just again, this is placeholder content. Next week's stream, we're gonna be JavaScript and all up in this. So it's gonna be plugins, JavaScript, a lot of the fun. And I love myself some JavaScript. So that's where I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. I like tinkering with it. I just love how it looks at this point. It's bizarre. So let's do H3. Just put an H3 tag. This is the game title, and we do that. H3. And if I go down here, so we do this one. I want to put the image, so I'm going to do an image tag. Now, normally I would have a lot of people would put like a placeholder image that they have. I don't ever prep that much ever when I'm coding at night, and I'm lazy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm just lazy when it comes to it, but I like having things look clean. I'm a UI design developer. I think the user interface is the most important part because I'm biased that way. And at the end of the day, I like using this nice little website, placehold.it. I got it right yet. And then you set the size of your image. I love this. This is cool. And you close that off. Let's do one of these. I'm going to move my microphone a little bit more forward. It keeps on bumping into my wrist. Okay, let's try that again. W. And then we're going to do this. Then the other experiment we're going to do tonight is we're going to run this on Windows, and we're going to see what happens. Because I've run it on Windows once. I have not done it. I haven't actually done it. Well, I don't even remember what happened when I did it last time. So I'll actually see if this works. Okay, so we have this. That works. And we have our column. This doesn't... Not doing what I thought it would do. I thought this would actually move around a little bit, you know? Like, what am I missing here? Grid UI, UI responsive, block A, block B. Not sure. I'm going to take a quick peek at the documentation, actually. We always have the documentation on hand. Because you know what people want to see on a live stream? You going through documentation. But let's be fair. If you know all this stuff by heart, you are amazing and you're my hero, and I'm glad you know all of Jquery Mobile. You should be streaming, but you're probably doing fancy conferences already. Me, I'm still learning stuff. That's the experiment. That's the fun. So we have buttons. So if I look at my block A, block B, grid classes can be applied to this. Okay, we add a grid UI to the field set. Let's look at this source. I really like this website. If I zoom in, sorry, I'm just gonna reach over and look at this so everyone can see it a little bit better. Field set, grid UI. Oh, okay. So, okay. So block A, block B. That's UI grid A. Okay, so let's escape from that. Oop. Forgot I'm on live. Okay, grid classes can be applied to any container. So 2-column grid. So I'm just gonna look at this other one as well. Okay. Okay, so that's grid A. Okay, let's just read this documentation here. To build a 2-column 50/50 layout, start with a container with a class of grid A. So, I have to identify the type of grid I have. So I have UI grid, but I didn't identify what kind it is. So if I go back to my code and we go up, oops. And we'll just get this going. So what I need to do here is go to my grid A and then I'll just insert. Oh, wow, I pushed the wrong button. I'm getting there with this fancy Vim. I will one day get that sorted out. Okay, we're gonna go back one, and then we're gonna do insert because I'm not gonna do the shortcuts. There we go. W, awesome. So while this is gonna load up, I want to kind of chat about what I've noticed in this framework while I'm tinkering with it. Is I'm not a big fan of putting a lot of logic in your HTML and your layout logic in there. I'd rather, if I had a better solution, keep the classes outside of that HTML, because those classes end up being very descriptive and they have a huge value point. You know, like they're almost like it depends on how your nomenclature works or what kind of coding standard you use. But if you're doing something like using your classes as adjectives and your IDs as identifiers, so as a descriptive identifier, so we have game list, you have game, whatever, it's helpful, but it also makes it a bit tricky sometimes, because if you're doing a repeated object, if you're doing a UL with a bunch of list items or a bunch of rows, then your ID can't be the same on every single row. It doesn't work. So I like trying to keep that stuff out of it, and I like using the class names as descriptors for what kind of data is inside of that element. And I also like trying to keep that logic out. Now, I've never seen a great story for keeping your CSS logic, living. Get on the camera here, over here somewhere. And I'm looking into that. That's something I'd like to improve on. But I mean, at the end of the day, Bootstrap and clearly Jquery Mobile get you moving really fast. But I'd rather them not have such an emphasis on applying so many different classes, because it's almost like a CSS API you need to apply. Anyway, let's click on Excite Bike. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Boom. See, and it actually overlaps because I've set a static image size here, so you can change the image size to whatever you want, but it does resize properly. So that's cool. That is the gist of what I wanted to do. I'm also gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that afterwards. So yeah, cool. So and I realized I'm going a little bit later than I want. That's because I botched it completely when I started and started at 8:15 because I was streaming to myself on the preview version of YouTube for a while. So anyone watching, I apologize for going a little bit late, but it's on purpose because I started 15 minutes late. Technically, I didn't start late, but you can ignore any sentence that starts with technically. So you can see I just basically botched it. Anyway, so let's see if we can run this on Windows. That is the exciting part. Cordova Run Windows Go. So another thing I learned about this when I was doing some reading, there's a difference between running it on Windows versus Windows 8, because those are different options. Same with Windows Phone versus WP, or Windows versus WP8. So when Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8 came out, there was a whole release for them. They're great. Windows 8 was something. It was okay. I got used to it. But Windows 8.1 was a huge advancement, and it was actually where things started to share Windows Phone and Windows and Windows itself actually start to share parts. So what we've found out, no, let's see, it's running. Okay, look at that. Well, the black background means that my, oh, that is cool. So that means, okay, that worked. That worked. I can't go back. Because we forgot about that. That's okay. Hold on. I hope you guys can see my start menu. Because then what we'll do is... I'm going to have all maps. There we go. VGDB. There we go. Load it up again. So what I want to do, though, is I want to snap it to the side here. Oh, man, that is cool. I really hope you guys can... I'm going to open up OBS for a sec to see if you can see that. Very wicked. Okay, cool. So you can see our actual app there. And what I'll do is I'll bring the desktop back. So you can see our app actually running here. That is super cool, man. And I can actually do it here. And then my media query applies. So you can see where the value of those media queries coming in, right? Like, we can handle a phone, we can handle Windows desktop, and we can handle users resizing their windows however you want. So, and this is HTML, so I'm, fingers crossed. If they got a Cordova Windows 10 ability at some point by the end of the year, I mean, it comes out this summer, we can handle these kind of special things, and it doesn't make it so crazy. You start making a responsive design, and website, phone, desktop, tablet, whatever, you just got to consider you can just start factoring in your designs. I think it's going to take people some time to catch up to that, but I think it's a really cool thing to start with right now, and Cordova's given me the power to kind of get some lightweight apps going. But anyway, to go back to my original story here, I'm going to make this smaller again. As much as yeah, that is cool. I love that. Anyway, I love that the background went away. So, let's just fix this here. So, anyway, Windows 8, Windows Phone 8, they're actually compiled as separate specialized apps. Whether Windows 8.1 and Windows Phone 8.1 are sharing components, so they're part of like the universal app platform. So, have you ever used web components with Cordova like Polymer or Xtags? Actually, no, I haven't. That's actually a really good question. I'm actually very, very inexperienced with web components. So you know what? While we're on stream, let's actually look. Let's do a quick search. Oh, let's Bing it. I always use Bing. I don't know why. So let's look up Polymer web components. Polymer. That's actually a really see. This is what I've actually found with sharing this with people on the web, is that it's allowing me to get some good feedback on libraries I would have never explored. I did this with Google Plus, and they actually sent me back with talking about Ionic, and I'm going to answer that question about why I've chosen not to go forward with Ionic after looking into it. So webcomponents.org, built with Polymer. So let's see what that does. Web components, thinking. A place to discuss and evolve web components best practices. Very interesting. So this is just web components. Like this is like the HTML standard. But the web component JS polyfills enable web components in evergreen browsers. So we go Chrome. Of course, IE is completely choking and dying here. Okay, okay. So I can do an HTML import. So this is something that I really want to do. The Shadow DOM. Okay, and it's got Bower support. Cool. So this is actually really, really cool. Because I could write a single thing of HTML and then essentially use it as an HTML module, right? Do some reuse. Write a template for one and then just plop it in there. Now, to be frank, I have a bit of a bias because but I don't call it much of a bias. I am an Internet Explorer person. That's why I'm using it. I'm also an MVP and all that jazz. But Internet Explorer does have a value spot. I'm not saying it has to support all pieces, but I guess that's where the polyfill can come in, right? Polyfills that. Okay, yeah. So, the very least. Okay, so never mind. I take it all back. They had a polyfill. I was thinking that I thought this meant the polyfill wasn't actually working on IE. I was like, well, that's kind of weak. Why would it be a polyfill if it doesn't work in IE? That's a big market chunk. But no, IE doesn't support that. I know that. I've mentioned that because I really want to tinker with this stuff. Web components. What's in web? I'll have to look into this there, Cecil. I appreciate the comment. I will look into this because, I have a lot of challenges with the templating engines, and I like the templating engines and stuff like that. I just don't like, I don't like having one giant file. When I was using Ember.js for my recent project, you end up with this one big lumpy HTML file, and I don't like it. I don't like having everything in one HTML file. So this is cool. But you know, maybe that's what we'll do next time. I'll give this a shot. Maybe we'll give that a whirl to kind of close out the 4-part series. I'm just doing a small series to start this off, but that's not to say I'll do more. I would love to actually see what I can do with this and actually tinker with this a little bit more. So, yeah, that's cool. And the last point about Ionic, I actually recommended, you know, take a look at Ionic because Cordova isn't very efficient in terms of its performance. You think that would make for a great episode? Well, I'll take that as a request, Cecil, and I will make that happen. So I'm calling it out right here. Sometime soon, not next episode, but soon, we'll do some tinkering with web components, because you know what, honestly, that would be really cool. Again, it's something I don't really know, and hence the point of the stream. You know, it's script unscripted. Let's just start mucking around with stuff and see what happens. So that is going to be an episode, and I'll share that on Twitter, and we'll do that. Hopefully, I'll see if I can do that sometime in mid-February. Beginning of February, I got a couple of things I got to catch up on, but mid-February we can do one more episode, and we'll see if we can extend this a little bit further. Our little demo app here with web components, and we'll see what we can do. But with respect to Ionic, I was really happy with it. It looks really powerful. It has a whole IDE built around it, and the challenge I had with it was that it only supports iOS and Android. And I mean, I get that Windows Phone isn't the most popular, and I mean, I have a Windows Phone, but I know more people with Androids. I even have another Android. I have an iOS for work. Most people have iOSs or Androids. Now, the fact that it limits itself right out of the box, that's the part that I don't like. I like something that would start with a wide support platform, and then narrow it down to specializing or something like that. So that's why I went with Cordova. Now, Ionic, I heard, is a lot better. Same thing with like Adobe with PhoneGap itself. They've got some benefits there. But again, this is what the big companies are sorting all that stuff out. This is an open source free platform that I can work with a command line that's platform agnostic, minus the fact that I need an iOS device to actually compile iOS, but still, that's not bad. But anyway, that's why I didn't go with Ionic, and I just wanted to kind of answer that out there to gentleman that asked me. I can't remember his name, but I will point him out on. I'll send him this link just so he knows. In any case, that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. So just to kind of refresh you there, I'm going to go back and bring up my OBS. So if you want to follow along with code, I'm going to bring this up. Let's close this down so it looks a little bit prettier. I've opened up the repository. It's github.com/ oh, that looks ridiculous. Let's do one of those. github.com/David West on GitHub /VGDB. That's where we're going. If we're there and actually do we'll do git branch. I can actually zoom in on this so everyone can see. Git branch, and then I go here. There's actually a version 003, and that's the version that I'm going to merge in. So actually, I'm going to take these changes that we made today. I'm going to commit them. I'm going to delete the branch. I'm not going to merge it in. What I do is I set myself up for the individual ones, and version 004 is actually the one where we're going to be dealing with plugins. So that's the next one. I'll be pushing that one up live right away after this, because I already have it it's already published. I just want to fill it in the description. But that'll be next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. So if you're interested, I will actually start at 8 p.m. Central. I will remember this time and actually push play and start streaming. But, and again, as usual, it'll be available offline afterwards in the archive on my YouTube channel. But that's where you get the source code. I'm going to be keeping that thing up to date. And then, yeah, that's going to be an ever-evolving app. So for the next month or so, this is going to be the place to be for getting source code and stuff like that. But anyway, thank you very much for joining those that came by. I appreciate you. Cecil, nice shout out to you. This would be, I'm looking forward to my web components episode now, so I appreciate the feedback. And for now, I also want to give a quick shout out to my developer music, which I always have on, which is Pixel Recall. You know, I always like this album. He's given me permission to actually play it on stream whenever I stream. So shout out to him, Pixel Recall. You can get his link is at the bottom. You can get his album for free, but I'd throw a couple bucks at it if you like old school retro bit tunes or chip tunes. I call them bit tunes, chip tunes. I have an SNES kind of thing in my soul, I guess, and that's this kind of shouts out to it. But in any case, thank you again. Next episode next Thursday, which is, let's just make sure we got the date, January 29th at 8 p.m. Central. It'll be available afterwards. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, or actually requests with respect to episodes, I would love to hear them. I will make a way of making that more public so people actually can make a way of doing this. And the first episode we're going to do next is After episode 4, we'll do another episode mid-February on web components or somewhere around that. So thank you very much for everyone for joining me, and thanks for playing.